LARP can be more than a community. A LARP can be a community. These communities I've helped create as examples. The Underworld players are passionate about their game. They have organized weekly meetups and regular build days. They have started an Underworld student group and an Underworld dodgeball team. Albion players will wear period garb and camp in period tents. Costumes and props needed will be created by the community. Materials needed to build period structures will be raised as a community. LARP community is a wonderful thing. It is the LARP director's responsibility to ensure that the community is welcoming and inclusive. Below I've listed some tips that will help you build your community and promote your LARP. Creating a website, really easy to do these days. Create a forum for your game. Facebook groups. Some people don't like Facebook still. You gotta be on Facebook. It's invaluable.
The Underworld Facebook is
Huge.
24 hours a day,
Yeah.
constant. No matter when you go there, someone's posting. It's
And the chat in there too.
it's just yes.
I don't play the game when I get more.
There you go, there you go.
Like if they didn't have that outlet, a lot more animosity would show up in game. I think like they have to be able to just like wow.
Posting flyers at game shops and universities. Start student LARP groups. Post online and LARP forums. Host LARP demos and LARP discussions. Hand out flyers at trade shows. Contact the media. And call to guard events.
Call to guard is a good way to keep people from having that fear of looking foolish.
Call to guard is when you go somewhere like a movie and you all show up in your character and your costume.
Kind of like how the 501st will show up in a Star Wars movie if they're
Yeah.
playing.
Yeah.
And people will ask you about it and say like, well, why are you dressed up in chainmail or dressed
Take
up like a wizard or
flyers.
whatever? And you say, I'm part of this group and you should come check us out if you're even remotely
Or you
interested.
say,
in this."
knave, I'm not dressed up.
Way to scare the trains.
When they first introduced the Looney, that's how old I am, but when they first introduced the Looney, a bunch of us got into our Dream Quest costumes and had bags of gold that we went to a local tavern with.
Nice.
It was a lot of fun.
The only problem for my own experience, again, because I'm running a vampire LARP set in the modern day,
Right.
call to guard is really not going to really work for us. That being said, I do agree with your Facebook thing. We've taken it wholeheartedly with the Facebook like page. We've gotten additional people to our game.
I'll put it on Twitter.
And Twitter.
If anybody, website is really important as well, and there's been a lot of developments with how easy it is to make a website. You can make a website for free very easily. If anyone has any questions about that, you can talk to me. And that's it. So is there any more questions at all?
Just a comment, again, coming from my own experiences from the, like you mentioned, trade shows and stuff like that. I really can't stress that enough for like any sort of fledgling LARP to really get involved with that because for those of you who don't know, I'm a member of an improv comedy team here in Edmonton called the 404s. We do pretty much every convention in Alberta, plus Vancouver, Toronto, so on and so forth, ad nauseum. The most common thing I hear about is I want to come out to LARP, but I don't know who to contact. I don't know where to go, right? And with my own experiences being able to talk to people at my own shows and stuff like that, I'm able to direct them, well, you know, there's Underworld in Edmonton, there's Alone the Night, which is us, and explain what it is. And people just don't know where even to begin.
Yeah, I took it off here, but word of mouth is definitely the biggest way to
One of our biggest losses was back just before I started was we used to actually have quite the influence at the university and within the university club for gaming and LARPing, and then no one took it up and dried up.
They graduated.
They graduated. They graduated. There's no one new willing to take up the thing. Like I walked down there where the old club used to be. It's now 8 different clubs in that room that we used to run out of, and that's where we got most of our people. Were the younger people going through university, and it dried up very quickly.
The other thing too is like I'm going to the building a community and stuff like that. I've been kind of like, this is my little soapbox as it were. The different groups don't talk to each other enough, right? I may get somebody coming to my game for the first time that comes, says, you know what, I thank you for having me out. It's not my cup of tea. I want to hit something with a phone sword, right? Okay, I happen to know, I'm sorry, your name was Paul?
Yeah.
Right? Paul, I happen to know Paul from Albion. Explain what the game is. Why don't you go contact him, right? So as opposed to losing somebody to the hobby entirely, I have instead directed him to something that may be more his thing. Because you may not want to dress up like a vampire, and I may not want to dress up as like a Viking or a Celt or something like that, but you know, we might be able to find people that overlap, right? And by doing that, we each benefit from it.
Yeah, that's a great one.
Yeah.
This is a hilarious thing that I ran into running LARPs for a little while. And it struck me as the most hilarious thing I've ever met in terms of benefits that you could get for player transfers. I have never met, and I talked to about 14 people running games. Every single one of them would be happy at their check-in to have flyers for other games. Every one of them said that they would love to produce a flyer to give to people who run other games. No one did.
Good.
I bugged them about it for 3 months. No one ever did it. Everyone was willing to hold them.
So somebody just had to take the initiative to do it.
If every organizer made one page about their game, photocopied a couple hundred of them and handed them to every other game, you would have more contact between games than the city has ever had, ever.
Yeah.
One page.
For those of you that are fairly young, there's a few of us that have been here for maybe part of the LARP forever. We have separated into so many groups. There's the World of Darkness group. There's the Angel group. There was the Dave Gator group. There was
There's the Underworld group.
There were so many groups, and no one for long, especially after LARP's council fell apart, really started not talking to each other anymore, and that's in the last 10 years we really did see the decline of LARPing in the in the province until we started to see Underworld show up, and that really started to change because it was something we've only seen here once or twice before, not very successfully.
There's been a lot of enthusiasm
Yeah.
in recent years.
Well, yeah, exactly, right. I love this hobby, right? Like, I mean, I got started off years back with Night Haven. I know you know Randy.
Oh, yeah.
And
They played our game once.
yeah, I understand that it didn't go too well. Randy
Wasn't
doesn't like to take hits, so you have to hit him really hard in order for him to fall over. Anyways, though, I got my start kind of with like the quasi-medieval reenactment kind of thing, and then I kind of graduated over to the World of Darkness thing. And it's my biggest thing is trying to get people into the hobby, because I think it's great. And especially, you know, like, I do acting on the side and stuff like that. I think there's a lot of cross-pollination. The reason I came here is to hopefully get the group just to talk, right? So that we can.
It's interesting. I'm very active in the medieval reenactment community in a lot of different groups, and it's funny how a lot of those groups will say LARPing is, they're geeks or whatever.
Well, yeah.
We're all
Can I
geeks.
ask something? Just cut to Rick. I'm wondering how many people have been turned away from LARP by the fact that all LARPs use big rule books around here.
None. Not that I've ever been told. What turns people off more often than not is people being elitist or pretentious. That's what does it.
Feeling high school,
Having
like.
to learn 150 pages of rules is a lot for someone who never
The thing
has
is,
Most of the
most times, yes, there's like 100+ pages of rules, but you don't necessarily have to know and buy the book. You can
You
ask
just don't
somebody.
learn.
A lot of people are willing, like, I mean, when you first start a LARP, like, I plan to check out the Vampire LARP, I read about it from the Underworld site, like, some of your posts on there on Facebook, and I plan to check it out, but I played, like, a tiny little bit of the, like, dice tabletop game back in high school, but I basically know, like, not a whole lot. But I mean, at Underworld when I first started and I didn't know that much and I read through the rule book and stuff, people were always willing to explain, like, if I'd say, you know, like, hand on your head was out of game, so you just
yes,
real-
yes, no, I hear you. But my point is there's a lot of players that don't care about the rules.
Absolutely.
They don't care about, they're there to dress up and role play.
Exactly.
If there are a few LARPs, just one or two, where you don't have to read 150 pages of rules, how about 2 or 3 pages, or none at all? What would happen to the community? That's what I'm.
Very little. I run them.
I would get.
I run them. People brought a whole bunch of new players to me. Most of the new players didn't stick with new players, usually don't. And the ones who did stick filtered into Vampire and other games with not a single ripple.
Yeah.
The only difference was that people were more willing to bring their new friends, not that the new people had any difficulty.
Yeah.
The new people didn't care.
For me, I played Kingdom Come, which is a huge book. I have never read the whole book, ever.
And what's,
I've been meaning to.
what's
I've read the whole book and I've never played.
What's more too is and specifically in Alberta, I can't speak for other provinces or stuff like that. The people who go to LARPing are ones who started off playing D&D. D&D being having rules, so it's what they're familiar with,
there are so many medieval groups. There's at least 30 groups in Edmonton. They're almost LARPers.
Yep.
So
There
close.
is though,
Excuse me, I'm
with
just-
regard to large
Exhibit A.
rule books, there
Sorry.
is the, when you have, a large rule book provides a platform for somebody who wants to be a snob to drive away new players.
Yeah.
Here we go, hold on.
Yeah.
But the thing is,
that
if
little
you
thing.
didn't provide them with that platform, I'm fairly sure that the person who wanted to be a jerk would still drive away new
That's right.
players.
Yeah, it's the elitism and the pretentiousness that some
Yeah.
people go through. And I don't know if anybody's here from the SCA, but like, that's why I didn't go to the SCA. I went in once, and I ran into somebody who, I had the loan tunics. Woman goes, "Oh, so you're new?" I'm like, "Yeah, I decided to come on to one of your events." She's like, "Well, you better make sure that you have your garb 100% correct, otherwise nobody will take you seriously." I'm like, "Well, it's a little expensive to do a piecemeal." Well, she's like, "Well, I won't talk."
Yeah, even without rules, you're gonna get.
Just a while back,